Downtown Juice Bar, which is right across the street from the gallery, which is our main venue. And what they done, they actually had the work hanging inside for Eric Ginsberg, our fair director, for the whole week, but they didn't open today because their AC is out. So what they did was they put all of our work in the window, and they're keeping the gates open. So here is the work that we had at their location. They've been a very good sponsor for us, and I really thank them. And that's Eric's work who you will meet in a little while.
Oh, I was just this is Nick Crayola. We are here, 128 Rivington, getting it in. It's all about color, it's all about art, beautiful people. What's up? I'm the mayor of Manhattan, so ask me anything you want.
Tell me about your work. I know you handed me a coloring book. What's that about?
Sure. Well, I go by the tag Nick Crayola. My name is Benjamin Frank. My work, for the most part, is all dollar store items. So everything Crayola, for the most part. Crayons, color pencil. You also see me doing a lot of whiteout paint, painting, so forth. And I set the fire to these crowns here, and that's how I achieve this kind of oil painting effect. So that kind of became my trademark and my spiel, and I go from place to place, not just presenting my art, but wherever I go, I also try to come through and just let people see it in person. Really important. So this is a whole genre of coloring, baby.
Adult coloring?
I heard it relieves stress, and you know, the anxiety lightens up if adults do it. So I think it's a good time to be in this business. So sure, yeah. But when adults coloring books, it's called stress books.
What are you creating there?
Well, you know, I'm from Brooklyn, USA. This is an important day for Brooklyn anyway, because it's Biggie's birthday. But you know, I usually like to just create portraits of you know, what I saw growing up, different themescapes and so forth. Always, you know, it's always led by hip hop themes, political satire with some comedy in it. But this was a real, you know, hustler from Brooklyn in the 80s, and just one picture of him. Did this cool thing with the chain on the brown paper bag, you know. So we're gonna link that, you know. And like I said, anybody wants to check this out, I got art right on that wall. The originals, for the most part, is on sale unless I do it in front of you, like they probably sold already. But we do have the prints, and anybody that gets prints from Liberation Lab Store, they make art affordable. So their whole thing is to bring down the cost and kind of make it reachable. I'm not on the NFT tip, right? I just try to make sure my art is tangible. Those two forces come together and we're going to do business. And I will go on top of a print and do some work, you know, customized for anybody that picks up a print. So I'll still make it unique for you.
What do you think about what's happening in Brooklyn these days?
As far as?
It's all right?
I love it. Look, I'm from there. I'm a downtown Brooklyn artist. I love it. I mean, it's a little different. You know, the surroundings that I grew up with are not the surroundings that I live in now, and I'm thankful every day that I'm still able to live in the neighborhood. But you know, that's the community. That's what fuels me. That's what makes me me. So I'll always love it. Myrtle Avenue.
Very good.
Describe that right there.
Okay, so we have James Baldwin and his quote here. I call it the icon and his words. During the Black Lives Matter movement, I was doing these live streaming videos, starting with a white canvas, in this case a whiteboard, and just seeing what came out. And during that week, there was everything else seemed so contrite, and I felt like I needed some sort of guidance and a message, and I found that through James Baldwin's portrait here. And so I began by using permanent marker and blending it with rubbing alcohol until I got his portrait here. And then I added a James Baldwin quote to it, which I found very eloquent for the times. Yeah. And so his quote is, "I imagine one of the reasons people cling to their hate so stubbornly is because they sense once hate is gone, they will be forced to deal with the pain." And I found comfort in that quote.
And that was 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yep.
Tell me about the inspiration that led to this.
Basically, the Black Lives Matter movement was building. There were a lot of riots in the streets. There was some social movements happening that you can't just ignore. And I was trying to do like these weekly art shows that were improvisational, and anything that did not have to do with what was going on outside seemed, so contrite, useless. So I did several pieces that had to do with what was going on post George Floyd. Shortly after, during those weeks, I started reading James Baldwin literature, and listening to his interviews, and I found the most comfort from everything the way he expressed himself. He's so concise and to the point. So, yeah, and so intellectual.
Why did you choose markers and rubbing alcohol?
Because it's a fun medium. It's very flexible to work with, and once it dries, it's very durable. And so if you screw up in one place, you can change it really easily with alcohol and a rag. Yeah, so it's trial and error that gets you to this point. Yeah, the old cliche, having a monkey on your back. If you can embody the mind state of an elephant and the foundation and strength that an elephant has, when you have a monkey on your back, it seems weightless. So this is sort of a metaphor for that. Choose to be the elephant, move forward through life, and that monkey is going to feel safe on the elephant's back. So there's a mutual symbiotic thing going on here. Anyone who is going through life and they're burdened by something, maybe choosing a certain mental state to move forward with, to relieve our pains and our pressures from it, that helps. And in my interpretation here, I'm like, okay, if I can be like an elephant, and an elephant is a moving fortress, and light and petty things on its back it's not gonna be a big deal. Yeah. She feels peace. She is the Thera Bodhisattva, which is a sect of Buddhism. And in life, the mindset is to strive for achievement and in near death is to find peace in the change from life to death. And so it covers finding peace in your lifetime and into post-life. And I chose these calm colors. They're calm to me, you know, and the expression on her face that she has the enlightenment of being peaceful and happy. And the third eye there shows that she has some introspection.
So let's move over now to another very interesting.
This is called Buffalo Meditation. And in Vietnam, of course, the staple crop is rice. And the people plow the rice fields with their beast of burden, which is the water buffalo. And this farm girl is taking a break from plowing the fields, and she's finding peace on the back of this water buffalo. And in turn, the water buffalo is getting a back massage. And again, he doesn't feel her weightlessness. She's so light, he's so strong. He's getting his muscles massaged during a lunch break, sort of. I haven't, but I would love to. Yes, this is called Peace on the Rainbow, and it's sort of like an all-encompassing inclusion of, I mean, what is becoming less disenfranchised groups. And it's this, to celebrate that, I have the multiracial arms in the shape of a peace sign, which I sculpted, and I mounted it to this spray painted board with the rainbow representing LGBTQIA+. And it's just a celebration of all inclusion.
So I would think of myself, actually I was more of an artist before I was a doctor. I've been studying art since I was like, I would say, 4 or 5 years old. I took art classes when I was a kid, and I also studied a little bit of art on the side in high school. I almost went to art school. I actually interviewed at Cornell back in 1994 actually, and I think I was accepted. My mom told me, but then my parents really didn't want me to become an artist, so that sort of kind of nullified that whole idea. But anyway, I ended up becoming a physician, and I've always had an interest in art, and it's never something that really left me, and I always wanted to continue it. So I've been making art for a long time, and I've been exhibiting for the last 7 years.
Well, let's look at where do you want to start?
So for today, I decided to do a performance piece, and I've been doing some performance art at the Fridge Art Fair over the years, and this particular time I decided to bring in some of my medical technology into the gallery space. So today I have an ultrasound machine which I use on a daily basis.
Say that again?
I brought in an ultrasound machine.
What's an ultrasound machine?
An ultrasound machine is a diagnostic modality which utilizes sound waves in order to visualize objects.
That's how I know my grandson is a grandson, even though he's 4 months away from being born.
Oh, there you go. Well, so yeah, one of the beauties of ultrasound is that it's one of the lower risk types of diagnostic modalities, and so it's one of the few things that can be used in terms of diagnosis for pregnant mothers and things like that.
I've never seen one used in an art show.
It may have happened, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I may be the first. It's possible, but yeah, I thought it would be something interesting and different to bring into a gallery space. And so, in this particular instance, I wanted people to see something that pretty much just is something that's privy to clinicians and whatnot. And so, just the imaging of it, I wanted like the viewers to be able to be able to see that. So.
Okay, tell me about what's going on here, a gummy bear.
So yeah, well, so actually, for my ultrasound images, I generally have the patient's name in one section, and then I have the section of their body that I'm doing ultrasound on. But in this particular case, I have my own name on here, so I see that as sort of a kind of like a self-portrait or a signature in terms of my art. And then the gummy bear, the reason I have that is because I made a Jell-O mold, and embedded in it are gummy bears. And so this is what you would call a phantom ultrasound, which is used by clinicians in terms of training, for training purposes.
So you're going to show us something?
So yeah, basically I have an ultrasound probe here, and a little gel here, and if we're lucky, we might be able to see the head of a gummy bear. So here we go, putting on some ultrasound gel onto the probe, and we're going to start scanning. So let's see what we got. Okay. If anybody sees the head of a gummy bear, you let me know. That might be a head of a gummy bear, but here we'll save it. This is documentation. Store that. Here we go. We'll start scanning some more. I think that is actually a gummy bear. And we'll scan some more. And here's another one. So you can see certain sections of the image that are darker in color, and certain images that, certain sections that are lighter in color. And the reason it's darker is because there's what you would call hypoechoic areas, and then there's hyperechoic. This means that there's a higher concentration of water in this particular region, in the hypoechoic region, and in this particular region it's what they would call hyperechoic, and that means that there's less fluid there. But and then also I wanted to show people how I perform injections. So here I just have a little paper clip, and here we go. I'm going to go in the. If you can see the ultrasound probe, there's a certain point where the ultrasound.
Yeah, bring it closer. Can you bring it as close as you can?
Yeah.
Bring it closer. Yeah. Let me focus it. All right, it'll focus right on it. Go ahead.
And here, if you look at the ultrasound probe, this is the area where where it's sending out the ultrasound signal, and it's sending it outwards toward the object, and then that wave will bounce back into the probe, and it'll send out an image in sort of a path that kind of resembles this. And so the goal in terms of the injection is to be able to visualize the needle. You want to be able to visualize the needle, and you can do it two ways. One is going along the path of one of the ways of doing it is to either go in the within the axis or against the axis of the probe. So I can do it. Here we go. We'll do it with the axis, and you can see the needle going in. And here we go. We're actually say we want to go to that one spot. And now we're at our destination, and we can either do an injection or aspiration that way. Another method is to go against the axis, and so you're not going to be able to see the needle so much. You'll just be seeing a dot. So here we go. We're going to go straight down. You may not be able to see anything because the visualization is not as good. But I'm going to use a large object. Maybe we can visualize a little bit better. Here we go. You can see it. You can see it going right down in the path towards the destination where we want to either do an injection or aspiration. So the beauty of ultrasound is that you're able to pinpoint areas with much greater accuracy, and that way there's less risks and improved patient outcome.
Very good. Cool. Wow, that was
I
amazing.
actually have a question.
Yeah.
Can you tell if a gummy bear is a boy or a girl?
Actually, I was not able to see that part of the gummy bear. I was only able to spot the ears actually of the gummy bear, but I think if I had maybe someone make me a different type of gummy bear that was more anatomically correct, then that's possible. So.
Thank you. My name is Bonnie Astor, and I'm representing Art Breakout, which is a wonderful format for discovering underrepresented and self-taught artists. And this wall, we were invited to be part of the Fridge Art Fair, and a lot of the people on this wall, shall I say their artwork, they are self-taught, are people that we've discovered, some we've worked with before, and some are brand new. This piece was sold during the opening, so I'm proud to say that's actually my piece. I'm not self-taught, but I'm an underrepresented senior artist, and I've done throughout my career. I've done so many different things, from pet portraits to landscapes. And this particular work, there's two of them up here, are made with watercolor inks, which just flow beautifully on different kinds of paper. I've tried with Yupo paper, and I've tried with this is archival watercolor paper. And then I was able to find some beautiful homemade hand-pressed paper that I've layered on top of it. And that's what this is. I think it's untitled. It's untitled. It's by design ambiguous. Ambiguously designed. Whatever you... Originally, I'm a New Yorker, and I actually recently came back to New York. I've lived on different coasts of the country. I lived for many years in Seattle, and for a large part of my working years, I was a nurse. And I've done international nursing care. I've done everything from births to taking care of people when they're dying, and it's been a wonderful experience and very fulfilling. And in my retirement years, I decided to come back to where my roots are, and come back to New York. And and Lois Stavsky and I, who is a very big in the graffiti art scene, and does a blog called what is it called? Street Art NYC. We formed a new blog called artbreakout.com, and it's about discovering underrepresented people of all ages, all backgrounds, and people that have not shown in galleries or museums and are just getting started and have a very authentic voice. The other thing that I do which is very fulfilling to me, I've kind of combined and reinvented myself to be an art educator working with people with disabilities. And I have a student whose work is up here, and I'll show you. May I? I'm fortunate that about 4 years ago, I met some people that were involved with an organization that promotes and enhances the lives of people with disabilities, emotional, cognitive, etc. And I started doing art with them. So inclusion, taking them for tours of galleries and museums, and then also incorporating them into Lois and my art breakout shows. This is an example. This is a wonderful student, an artist. Her name is Lamia, and she is very proud to say that she has Down syndrome. And I met her in the community. She was my Zumba teacher, and then she ended up being in the organization that I work for. By design, and so she has been blossoming into this wonderful outsider artist, and this is I think the second show of Art Breakout that she's been in, and I'm very proud of her work, and she has this very authentic voice, and this is one of her paintings. She is interested in exploring so many things, different cultures, different languages. She's a wonderful connection, and she wants to be an advocate. And her art statement talks about wanting to advocate for people with disabilities, learning different languages, traveling throughout the world, and waking up on time. So that is...
Hi, I'm Linda. I'm the spiritual advisor and co-director of the fair, and this is one of our perennial exhibitors, Michelle Hill. And I really love her work, and I had a question for her, which is, I see feet and I see shoes. So are they shoes or are they feet?
They're shoes. They're shoes because what I'm doing is trying to put myself in other people's shoes, to experience what they're doing, what their life is like. I don't walk around the city in shoes like these, but I would like to imagine what it's like to be that woman walking around in these shoes. So these shoes are all, most of them are borrowed from Bergdorf Goodman's. They have an excellent return policy, so I'm very grateful for that, and I'm very careful. So this series started right around the World Trade Center time, so it's been about 20 years, and it basically happened because I ran out of canvas. So I had copper left in my studio, and that's what I decided to use. Copper is not a porous material. Unlike canvas, it doesn't absorb the paint. So I had to figure out a way for the copper to absorb the paint. So what I had around was a Brillo pad on the sink. So I took the Brillo pad and I made the copper have tooth. So I basically ruined the copper. So I take the copper plate, which is for etching typically, and I ruin it with the Brillo pad. That gives it tooth. Then I have to take a litho crayon. So litho crayon is something used for printmaking, and give it a border. So here I would make the drawing with a litho crayon, which has wax. And that gives it a border, and then I do the drawing. So the drawing of the feet, and I think about the negative shape, and also kind of the personality of the shoes, and what I think that woman would be like. So then I do the painting, and the paint I use is homemade paint. It's from upstate New York, from R&F Paints, and it has a lot of wax and a linseed oil, so it's pure pigment, unlike most of the materials that are out today. So it gives it really like cadmium red, and it gives really rich color. So I do the painting. The painting, because of the material on the copper, it takes 6 months to dry. So I have to like put it in a place, make sure no one's gonna mess with it for 6 months. So that's, tricky too. So I let it dry for 6 months, then I come back and I re-etch it. So I take the Brillo pad again and I'm going around the form, you can see it here a bit, of the shoes. And that brings you into the form and out. And I think it adds like a dynamic edge to it as well, and a little bit of sexiness to the feet. So then I clean it again to get rid of all the dust. And because copper patinas, I had to experiment with different types of varnishes. So that took a while too. So I had to experiment with varnish. So I had to be like a little bit of a risk taker, and I had to repaint it again. I'm not going to tell you the type of varnish I use because it's my secret. But I discovered a varnish that works, and then I paint over it and hope there's no dust in the air, and that seals it. So some of these are 20 years old. They haven't patinaed, so it works. So it's copper on wood.
You tell me what the secret is.
What?
Promise nobody.
Nobody will know. No, I had to experiment. It's a form of Demargar varnish. So anyway,
I just wanted to get you
mix with something else. So these are all on wood. So a wood or a canvas, whatever I have around. I'm kind of a throw together type of artist using what I have, and that's how I cook too.